one out. I've got a couple of questions for you that
Oh,
that
okay.
you're gonna kind of answer that we always sort of throw at everybody. And
Oh,
but the first one is, what are you working on right now?
oh, that's a good question because I feel like I finally have something that I'm working on that I should work on.
Okay.
A little bit more on independence,
Okay.
just like working on so that, and that's very basic because I've never been real strong, I don't think, with like real independence. Like
Mhm.
the kind of stuff you
Mhm.
see cats doing where they're playing multiple time signatures
Right.
and I don't mean just like 3 against 4 or something. I mean, like, you know,
You make me laugh, man.
actually, for me, I need to work on
Yeah.
3 against 4, 3 against 2. Um,
Right.
but just like, taking figures and, subdividing them, like trying to play a clave while playing some triplets with the left hand while trying to swing with the right hand, for
Right.
example. We're doing, So then I was trying to like take the paradiddle and displace the accent,
Okay.
so I'm accenting on anticipating or starting the paradiddle on a different
Right.
note,
Right.
started
Hmm.
on the double stroke instead of on the single stroke,
Right.
that
Right.
kind of stuff.
Well,
So I
you
was
that's
working on that phrasing, taking a phrase and moving it out of the standard or like usual way of playing a
right.
certain lick or phrase,
Right.
you know, starting it on the end of two. Well, this drummer that I know talked about how Jack DeJohnette was talking about in a clinic about target points. It's something like that. He called them or resolution points.
Resolution
And
points.
yeah, so you think of like resolution and harmony as being one thing, chords resolving naturally based on the
Right.
leading tones. But
Right.
like, so I don't know if I fully understand or can explain it, but it's this idea of playing a phrase and having an endpoint in mind that isn't always one or the end of four or like
Correct.
an obvious place to come out. So you have a resolution point in mind, but how you get there is it's improvised, you know.
Right.
So and to me that sounds very representative of Jack's style of phrasing because he phrases over the bar.
Right.
There's a lot of like not atypical ways that he gets
Right.
from one point to another point. And then you might all of a sudden hear like a big bam accent, and it was on the end of 3 or something instead of on beat 1.
All right. So the next one would be, what are you listening to?
Oh, I'm listening to a lot of classical music recently,
Hmm.
you know.
That's cool. I love that, man. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean Bach, listening to Bach, listening to the chaconne for violin, and then a transcription for piano. I've been kind of moving around between stuff, I've been like revisiting a lot of stuff that I haven't listened to for a long time,
Hmm.
like straight ahead stuff. Donald Byrd, Pepper Adams, Mingus. I feel like that music is there's so much depth to it that long periods of time will go by. And then I realize, man, I haven't listened to Duke Ellington and like really listened to it for like 2 years. And then I almost feel like guilty. Like, man, there's so much depth to this music. What am I doing? There's a great recording that I got recently of Elvin playing live at a club. I think it's called Pookie's. Have you seen or
Oh,
heard about that
no,
recording?
man. No.
Oh man, you got to check this out. Elvin
Okay.
Jones, Elvin Jones live at Pookie's. It's just vicious, ferocious. I mean, he always was, right?
Right.
But the way it's recorded, everything's really clear, and they've restored the recording, you know.
Man, okay. Well, how'd you check? Where did you discover this, man?
I don't remember where I think it was put out. This cat who has a label in Canada, in Vancouver, Corey Weeds. It's called Cellar Live.
Okay.
That's who's going to put out the date that we just did with Eric Alexander.
Okay.
He also has a label, or was partnered with a label called Reel to Reel. So REEL to REAL.
Yeah. How do I know
you may
that?
have seen that. Well, they've been putting out a lot of stuff. They put out like a Cannonball Adderley unreleased live thing. It's all unreleased live stuff. So
that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, I think Zed Feldman is associated with it. You know about him from Resonance Records. So he's a bit of like an archivist, historian, and he's gotten access to a bunch of these recordings that were never released, and he's been recently going through whatever steps it takes, you know, with authorizations, copyright, all that stuff to get them released. One of them is Ahmad Jamal at the Penthouse, which is great. Let's see, there was a Thad Jones, Mel Lewis big band one that was one of the early ones that came out maybe like 5-6 years ago. But anyway, this recent one with Elvin, I don't remember now if it's on that same label, Reel to Reel. It may be actually Blue Note released it.
Okay.
I think it's a Blue Note release, but it's through this like, you know, kind of channel of these cats who are like finding stuff and restoring them.
That's super cool, man.
Oh my God, you gotta hear it. I mean, you know, so that one and the Blakey, there's a Blakey live in Tokyo. That's killer. So I've been trying to find time, you know, like really listen to those albums. You know, so I'm trying to be more selective. Like I'm only buying stuff that I know I'm going to listen to more than, let's say, 3 times.
So where's the go-to place in Chicago that you're for
Dusty Groove is probably the main one. Dusty Groove. There's another place called Reckless Records that I used to go to a lot. But man, you know, it's like times have changed. It's as easy as a click on the internet. I'm not going to the other place that is great is Music Direct, and they sell new stuff, and they have, if you go to their warehouse, you can pick through their bins of used stuff. But they put out all that, like, I mean, they sell and distribute a lot of like audiophile type recordings.
All right, so just a couple more, man. So all right, here's a fun one. So worst gig you ever did?
Oh man, this is gonna be hard. I mean, I have to say, you know, I think maybe through being selective, I've avoided a lot of the worst gig type candidates. You know what I mean? Because I especially, you know, I when I get a feeling something's not going to be right, I just pass on it. But you know, as far as like a gig where you know, a fire broke out or something like that, I haven't had anything like real dramatic like that happen.
Okay. You know, a friend of ours was on, you know, a couple of months ago. He had posted this big thing on Facebook about how he got into another fellow drummer. He's a drummer who got into it with this bass player on stage, and had to be carried away because the cat was just like needling him the whole, you know, saying stuff. And but I'm talking about like, is there a gig
just like musically, like just musical disaster?
It just like was like, man, this is
you know, man, I'm terrible when it comes to these kind of questions, because like that, I think, you know, I put those out of my mind. You know, I had a gig not too long ago, a couple of years ago, I think it was, playing with this singer who was doing a Sinatra type thing, you know, and that's always going to be, you know, a warning flare, is that they're doing Sinatra, you know. When you get that, it's like, okay, okay, let's see what this is going to be about. And it was more of like a musical theater kind of guy. You know what I mean? Yeah. He wasn't really jazz literate.
Yeah.
And the musicians in the band weren't that bad, except for the bass player, who was someone that the singer had worked with. So it was like one of these things that was just thrown together. And I took the gig because it paid decently, you know, and I assumed, how bad can it be? I mean, for the money, it's going to be cool. It was on a rooftop of a hotel.
Right.
And man, this guy was so sad. I mean, he's like just lame, you know. And he actually had, so one of the things that was, it wasn't just that his singing was corny. He was engaging in that like corny banter with the audience, you know, and trying to be like Rat Packy about it. And it just wasn't working at all because he had none of that mojo. And to make it, to make matters worse, he had an attitude. He had an attitude about shit. Like he turned around to like tell me to pick up sticks when I was playing brushes. You know, he's like, sticks, you know. And I'm just like, man, you got no. So I told him after the song, I said, look, don't tell me what to play on my instrument.
Oh, you just summed up a lot of what's going on, man. Like,
I was just dealing with those cats, you know, and it's like when that cat told me to play sticks, that was like the final straw. They have a session at DePaul where a couple of my good friends teach. Scott Burns and Dennis Carroll teaches there.
Right.
And he's real encouraging to the kids and everything. But he holds them to task when it comes to, you know, anything specific to the music.
Right.
And if they get uncomfortable with it, they are now allowed to express the fact that they're being made to feel uncomfortable.
Right.
Like the teachers have to be like kid gloves a lot of times with the students.
Yep. Right.
And they had a jam session that they started. This was a voluntary thing. And it's seen as being a positive, you know, it's like great. Because some of the students got together and said, we should have a Wednesday night jam session in one of the music halls or something. So they're doing that. They call it a judgment-free zone.
Oh.
But at least there are enough instrumentalists, young instrumentalists, who are coming at it with the right attitude. I mean, they're not like, you know, master players yet, but there are several I can think of who are like, they're cool. And
I would be cool with that, George. Like, I'd be cool with that. Like, you know, so, I mean, me and Tyrone, we want to start a session where it's just that. It's like,
right.
You know, the Joes playing with the pros kind of thing.
Yeah.
All right, bro. So,
all right, bro.
I will talk to you soon. We'll try to get a date. I don't know what your schedule is. Maybe next week. We'll find a couple weeks, whatever. We're gonna because that'll give us. We can just throw out the ideas. We can get the whole show prepped, and then when we're ready, we can just come in and hit it.
All right, bro.
I'll take a look. All right, bro. All right,
okay,
man. Good to see you, man. Okay, man. Later.
Talk to you later. All right.
All right, man. Peace.